In order to live, you need to die. Or, in order to live eternally, you need to die. Somehow, it's as if the immortality of the soul has less to do with permanence and the permanence of a solid entity, but with impermanence. It's as if maybe the soul, the eternal soul, is not something that endures, but something that dies all the time. Something that is constantly in flux, renewing itself through change. And that therefore, the only thing that stands as an obstacle between your experience of life and your experience of the eternal is the life of your image of yourself, I suppose. The image of yourself as a stable entity that doesn't change. Right? The only thing that we're afraid of when we're afraid of death is this feeling of our self dying suddenly. That's how we picture it. We picture it as if we are born and then we live all our life and we're always the same thing. Yes, we change and we encounter different experiences, but we have this sort of permanent feeling of being the same thing all the time. And so death kind of presents us with this sudden change of, okay, you stop being this entity at once. But what if it is, not a question of preserving the entity, right, but of destroying it? We kind of picture eternal life and heaven in our mythologies usually as literally the self, as this being that we know and we understand, kind of leaving the body and living eternally somewhere else. But if the nature of reality is change, then the nature of eternity is also change. We're sort of completely intermingled with that change. To a point where anything that has to do with the eternal can't really be stable in the way that we understand it. It's stable in a very, very fixed way, in that eternity is eternally present, but under no specific form, right? What allows it to be eternal, maybe, is precisely the fact that it renews itself through death. That's what gives eternity its eternal life, is the fact that there is an infinite supply of new forms. Novelty, right? And novelty somehow implies death, because it's the apparition of something new takes the old thing out of the spotlight, in a sense. doesn't necessarily kill it, but that's maybe just because of our conception of death, that we see it as a question of killing and getting rid of. But of course, in eternity, it might be more a question of, yeah, this thing of the spotlight, of where attention is focused, or what things are in awareness and what things are not, kind of thing. To what degree? Because in eternity, nothing can ever die, ironically. The fact is that in an infinite amount of space and time, there is space for everything. Nothing disappears, right? Like energy isn't destroyed. Things are always somewhere and sometime. So this may point to the fact that what we understand as death is precisely simply the death of the spotlight. That death is simply a change of where the focus is, somehow. And that therefore, in order to attain a relationship with the eternal as people, it is not so much a question of refurbishing the soul and strengthening it to make it last, but simply losing attachment of the permanent form. Yeah, something like that. Thanks.